14-year-old Nyla Lightfoot died Tuesday at her Fort Worth apartment, and now a 13-year-old female friend is charged with her murder.
She wanted to spend the night at Nyla's house, but Nyla said she couldn't have company, and went home, and she told her to come get her clothes, or she was gonna bleach them. And I guess Nyla went to her house, and she tried to get her clothes, and they started fighting.
They was on and off friends, but everybody saying it was a sleepover. It was no sleepover. My baby went to get her clothes, and she ran up behind her and stabbed her with that knife they said they found.
On May 29th, 2018, Nyla Lightfoot was at home having a sleepover when she heard a door knock. When she opened the door, she saw it was her 13-year-old friend. However, she couldn't let her in, as her mom was not particularly a fan of her. Nyla told her friend there was no room, so she stomped out, livid. But on her way out, she told Nyla to come get her clothes from her house, or she'll soak them in bleach. Nyla followed her home to retrieve her clothes, but while she was waiting, her friend ran up from behind with a knife in her hand. Nyla never came home.
3 states her family has fled from because she can't control her temper. Until finally she comes to your community. It takes a lot.
Fort Worth, Texas, is a city that harmoniously combines its Western heritage with modern urban living. It's a place where you can step back in time to the days of cattle drives and saloons, or immerse yourself in the vibrant arts and culture scene. With a welcoming community, a diverse culinary landscape, and good schools, it's no wonder small families like the Lightfoots are attracted to it. But is there more to this seemingly perfect picture? What mysteries might be lurking beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? On the night of May 29, 2018, the clock neared 3:30 a.m., casting an eerie stillness over the city. Officers received a chilling call, calling them to 7985 Joshua Drive, a quiet location near the eerie crossroads of Sycamore School Road and Crowley Road. The urgency in the dispatcher's voice hinted at the horrors they were about to encounter. A gruesome stabbing. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, the officers raced to the scene, their police cruisers slicing through the dark roads. When the situation was this urgent, every second counted. Their hearts pounded like a drumbeat loudly in their ears as they approached the address. They had done this 1,000 times before, but it never seemed to make it any easier, and the horror that greeted them at the crime scene was a nightmare etched in despair. Lying sprawled on the floor was 14-year-old Nyla Lightfoot, her fragile frame covered in blood. She teetered on the edge of consciousness, but thankfully, an ambulance had arrived on the scene around the same time the officers arrived. Paramedics, draped in determination, immediately started working on Nyla. They did everything they could to keep Nyla alive, but nothing seemed to be working. The paramedics were frantic. Time was running against them, and they didn't think Nyla could hold on for much longer. They loaded her into the emergency van very urgently and began their journey to JPS Hospital in Fort Worth, praying that they can get Nyla the help she needs before it is too late. In the unforgiving hours of that night, Nyla's kept going in and out of consciousness. At approximately 4 a.m. on May 29, 2018, Nyla took her last breath. Meanwhile, in the apartment where Nyla had been found, a chilling silence descended as the officers got to work. The officers began interrogating witnesses who had seen the horrific incident. What they revealed sent shivers down the officers' spines, unraveling a dark intention and sinister motives that shocked the entire town. Just a mere 24 hours before the crime, Nyla and her mother, Antoinette Carter, started their daily ritual of making breakfast together and chatting as they did the chores. To her mother, Nyla wasn't just a daughter, she was her best friend and confidant. In a household filled with brothers, she and her mother found a unique connection, often being the only females amongst so many men. Nyla's presence brought a kind of magnetic warmth that drew people in.
My baby was the sweetest little girl here. She didn't bother nobody. She made straight A's. She was friends with everybody.
Nyla wasn't just a ray of sunshine. She was a beacon of light in the lives of all who had the privilege of knowing her. Even at an age when many girls begin seeking independence and distance themselves from their families, yearning to carve their own identities, Nyla was very different. She cherished the moments she got to spend with her mother and her grandfather, and she never tried to push them away. Instead, she held them even closer.
She didn't give me no problems. That was my backbone. She helped me with everything.
Nyla was very loved and had a lot of friends. In fact, on that very day, Nyla had gathered all her friends together. But what was supposed to be a night of fun and dancing would take a very dark turn. On that fateful day, Nyla informed her mom she would be having a few friends over for a sleepover. At first, her mom was not entirely happy with the plan, as she did not like all of Nyla's friends. There was one girl in particular who disturbed her. Her name is unreleased due to her being a minor, so let's call her Sarah. That girl was constantly getting into arguments with Nyla, and Antoinette did not like the girl's energy anytime she was around her daughter. After what seemed like hours of Nyla begging, Antoinette agreed to the sleepover, only if she did not invite Sarah. As the day passed and the sun set, Nyla's friends began to arrive at her house. Nyla had planned out the night perfectly. They were going to play a couple of games, followed by snacks and dancing before they all went to sleep. As Nyla and her friends danced the night away, a knock sounded on her door. It was late into the night, so Nyla wondered who would be. As she opened the door, she was shocked to see Sarah. Nyla had no clue how Sarah found out about the sleepover. She told the girl she couldn't stay because there was no room. The girl was immediately livid. She thought Nyla was telling her she didn't want her in her home. She stormed off, but not before telling Nyla to come and get all of her clothes that she left at her house, and if she didn't, she would soak them in bleach. It was late at night, but they didn't live very far away from each other, so Nyla followed her home. But as they made their way to the girl's house, an argument ensued. The girl was very upset that Nyla turned her away. The argument got more heated as they got closer to the girl's home, with Nyla also getting angry. Once they got to Sarah's house, she angrily walked in the house, leaving Nyla still talking outside. Nyla thought she was coming out with her stuff, but what she came out with instead was a knife. The girl aimed it at Nyla, trying to scare her. But Nyla was even more angry now and moved closer to the girl, daring her to hurt her. Stick me, I want to die anyways." As Nyla swung at her, the girl aimed the knife at Nyla, stabbing her in her neck and chest area. Nyla was on the floor, struggling to breathe when the girl ran away. Officers assigned to the case immediately started interrogating witnesses, starting with some of Nyla's friends who had been at the sleepover. What they had to say shocked the officers.
I wanted to spend the night at Nyla's house, but Nyla said she couldn't have company, and went home, and she told her to come get her clothes, or she was gonna bleach them. And I guess Nyla went to her house, and she tried to get her clothes, and they started fighting.
After more time investigating, officers arrested Sarah and charged her with the murder of her very close friend, Nyla Lightfoot.
14-year-old Nyla Lightfoot died Tuesday at her Fort Worth apartment, and now a 13-year-old female friend is charged with her murder.
As the case made it to court, a lot more horrific details came to light. The prosecutor revealed that the 13-year-old girl had a very violent past. She had been in several fights in the past, so bad that her family moved from state to state because she kept getting into trouble.
3 states her family has fled from because she can't control her temper. Until finally she comes to your community. It takes a lot.
After hearing the case put forward by the prosecution, the jury had no choice but to sentence her to 25 years in prison. She would stay in juvenile prison until she's 19 before moving to adult prison. Nyla's mom bore her heart in court, telling the girl and everyone in court how her daughter's death impacted her life.
She treated you like a sister that she did not have. You took my child, our own girl, leaving me with a hole in my heart.